Are you thinking with portals? This Batcat-like behemoth sure is, and will attack in every direction to take down any slayer that stands in its way. So it's time to step into the Rift with the Riftstalker in this week's Behemoth Breakdown. Before taking on the Riftstalker, here are a few things you may want to know. Batcat is weak against the Radiant element. If you step into the bubbling umbral pools underneath the portals, the corruption debuff will be applied. If you struggle keeping up with behemoths such as Embermane, I recommend equipping ability type cells if needed. This is both Batcat's Aether Charge and Enraged state. If you like dealing damage, bring armor celled with Aether Hunter if you can. This behemoth spends majority of its time in its Aether Charge state. Interrupting or staggering this behemoth will break its Aether Charge state for a short period of time. This means it won't be able to use its portals or umbral-based attacks, which will dramatically limit its moveset. Now it's time to see what moves Riftstalker will bring to the fight. To start, we have Swipe, very basic and one we are all too familiar with after going up against behemoths such as Embermane and Stormclaw. However, thanks to the ability to close the gaps in seconds using the Rift, Riftstalker is able to attack from any direction. To avoid this, the second you see this portal open up, get ready to dodge right away. This can be interrupted, allowing you to dish out some extra damage. Stopping the ground, Riftstalker will release an impact wave, knocking players who are too close to the behemoth. This is a common move to see, but there is another version of this stomp. Batcat will jump through a couple of portals before finally stomping the ground, hitting unsuspecting players. This move is only used in a couple of situations. The first is when you first spot the behemoth, and the other is when it re-enters its Aether Charge state. Backing up away from the player, Riftstalker will step backwards into the rift, dragging everyone into the void. While inside the dimension, Batcat will hide inside the portals that appear in front of the player. While inside the portals, two different attacks will occur. 1. Orbs will come flying out in various patterns. 2. Projections of the behemoth will charge the player. Avoiding these attacks will require you to outmaneuver and dodge when needed. A good thing to know is that you can shorten your time in the void if you hit the real Riftstalker during its attacks, causing the behemoth to be interrupted. You can determine where it will attack by looking for a lit up portal. This can get increasingly more difficult each time you enter the void, which will spawn more and more portals each time. Entering its enraged state, Riftstalker will leap into a portal and start a portal loop. The behemoth will pick up speed and come flying out at high velocity, hitting potential players before re-entering the rift once again. Riftstalker can use an offbeat attack to throw off your timing, which might take some time to get used to. A good way to avoid this move is to dodge off to the side, which is much easier to do than dodging through the behemoth. Spawning 6 portals behind the behemoth, the portals will fire orbs, damaging players unlucky enough to get hit by them. Be sure to pay close attention to both the behemoth and the portals during this time. Digging into the umbral on the ground, Batcat will attack from below by propelling itself into the air, diving back down towards the players. This move predicts where you're heading, so change your direction the second you see an umbral pool appear ahead of you. Riftstalker can do this up to 4 times, ending it with a spin attack. Batcat will lower its body before slinging itself like a disc at high speed. This move is fast, but gives a really long warning before it's used, so it's not difficult to avoid once you get the timing down. This move is used in two different ways. The first is when it comes out of the rift. This is a tricky move to avoid sometimes due to Riftstalker oftentimes using swipe instead of this move when it exits out of the rift. A good way to determine when Batcat uses this move is the time it takes for it to exit out of the rift. You will notice it takes the Riftstalker a little longer to leave the portal. Another handy tip is if you dodge the first tail swing, you'll be immune to the second. The other way this Behemoth uses this move is when it tries to put some distance away from the player, leaping backwards 3 times before stopping. This move is often used when Riftstalker is out of its Aether Charge state. Just like Embermane and Stormclaw, Riftstalker will slightly twist its body before spinning around with its tail, hitting players around the Behemoth. It's easy to read and dodge so long as you don't get careless. If you take on the heroic version of this Behemoth, expect to see it hitting harder and some changes done in the Void. In the Void, the smallest amount of portals you will have is 3, compared to 2 back in normal mode. New patterns will make it much harder to interrupt Riftstalker and avoid incoming attacks. Up to 6 portals can be in the Void, making it very chaotic for you and your friends. This Behemoth is personally one of my favorite Behemoths to take on, so hopefully all the information I have given you will aid you in your next Riftstalker encounter. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope to see you in Dauntless.